PC Perspective's coverage of CES 2015 is brought to you by Logitech. See the latest gaming peripherals at gaming.logitech.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is our third and final day of CES podcasting, I guess. We all leave tomorrow. Yes, I understand that we are leaving on the second day of CES, but things happened and we got here early.
That's just how we roll.
That's just how we go. We're in early and out before anybody knows
First
we're
in,
gone.
first out.
That's right. We're
no lines.
We're a FIFO group here.
Yeah.
For sure. Because those Philos are for losers, right? Those are the people that are setting up booths and have to tear down booths. Those are the Philos.
Philos are usually champions, but yeah.
We're the FIFOs.
FIFO.
First in, first out. FIFO.
I know.
Do you?
I used to work in retail.
Well, this podcast is off to a great start.
So,
Starting over.
No, we're not. So we're here. We're going to talk about the stuff that we saw today, and I'm just going to go down our calendar of meetings in order as we go, which means we start with Alan at Phison. Alan, that's you.
Yes. I'm going through the Rolodex in my head here.
Phison.
Yes, Phison.
Yeah. So what'd you see there?
Yes, I should look for my pictures on my camera, but too late.
It is too late.
So Phison's working on new controllers, but they are not all out yet. And that's actually about all I can say right now.
So they're working on new controllers that we can't talk about because they're under embargo or because they're not any good?
Well, there's so Silicon Motion and Phison are both working on enterprise PCIe, by 4 NVMe controllers. Actually, everybody that does storage is now working on that, right? Like Samsung did their 950 Pro.
Well, you said enterprise.
Well,
that's not really
the Silicon Motion one specifically is gonna be geared towards enterprise/OEM. Yeah, sorry, my brain's a little bit scrambled.
What was the controller in the Neutron GTX? Was that a Phison?
That was a Phison S10.
And that's an enterprise drive, right?
No.
Or it was an enterprise controller?
No.
I thought the Phison...
The S10 is just a consumer.
Talking to your microphone.
I thought the Neutron was more geared towards enterprise.
No, it was a consumer drive.
No, Neutron was like a budget consumer drive, if anything.
Because of the controller?
Yeah, because the controller was meant to be a low-cost controller, and they were pairing it with,
It had
relatively...
very good, performance over time. It was never that high to begin with, but it didn't really degrade much.
Well, because I'm pretty sure all those drives were MLC.
Okay.
So performance over time would be reasonable because, it was meant to be as low cost as you can go and be an MLC drive. That sort of thing.
So that was Phison. That's all we can say about Phison. They have new controllers coming eventually. Maybe not even soon.
I'm trying to remember because, I walked through their stuff. They really weren't showing a lot.
Okay, I mean, that's fine.
So
I'm just reading the meeting.
You're reading the menu?
I'm reading the menu. Well, how about we go to the Plex Store then? What'd you see at Plex Store?
Some really cool CD-ROM drives with caddies.
Oh, those are nice.
CD plus RW.
Yes.
Actually, I went to Plex Store and then I snuck in next door and talked to Light On as well. So the way that
Both optical.
Speaking of optical,
no, here's what's funny is that neither are optical now, really. As far as what they're showing,
That's
at
pretty
CES
intelligent
at least,
move on their
yeah,
part.
it makes sense.
I think it was time.
Could they possibly have to show?
They're
They still sell 3.5-inch floppy diskette
they're
drives.
kind of sort of separate companies, kind of.
They've always been paired together, like at CES. When you go,
Yes.
even years back when optical drives were an important thing, they were always paired together.
Well, they share PR at a minimum, right? But it's now the companies are kind of now what it's become is Plex Store is the consumer SSDs, and Light On is the enterprise SSDs.
Is it enterprise or do you mean business?
No, actual enterprise.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. They have the Light On's big push, and has been since even last CES, was they were one of the first to say, hey, we're making M.2 form factor enterprise geared SSDs.
Okay.
So they're kind of banking on some OEM, not OEMs, but some enterprise system builder kind of people are going to make some kind of chassis potentially that will be able to populate with multiple M.2 drives as opposed to multiple U.2, multiple 2.5 inch or that sort of thing. So
Right.
they're kind of banking on how small of a footprint can we make our drives so that if somebody makes a chassis that can actually populate a whole crap load of them.
Sure.
Then you can just have like a really high density server, right? So that's how that works. We saw we already made a post on I'm trying to remember the name of the Plextor, the new Plextor one.
Was it a PCIe SSD? Was it a M.2 SSD?
No, it was both actually. I think.
Oh,
it came as either one. I got a picture of it too. They actually it was the one with the red, kind of snazzy looking, triangular looking heatsink on it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But the interesting thing I got out of that was, and there'll be pictures when I can write up the post on it. But their M.2 model also had a aluminum heat spreader style thing on it that was styled the same way as the half height, half length card.
Okay.
And I think their drive is going to consume like 6 or 8 watts or so, which is similar to like a 950 Pro. But the difference is if it has that heat spreader kind of thing, even though it's not really a heat sink, it's just,
right.
It really doesn't have any extra surface area to dissipate heat. It's just that it's metal and it's going across the whole drive. Like 950 Pros and other drives that don't have a spreader, when they get hot, if you use a thermal thing on it and like see what part of the SSD is getting hot and actually causing it to thermal throttle, it's just the controller.
Sure.
So if you have a spreader on it, chances are you could probably run that just radiating heat off with no direct airflow across it, and it probably wouldn't throttle. Is my point, because they, are putting that spreader on there. So that was cool.
Okay.
What's next on this list? Or
From Plextor? Or
no. That's pretty much their big thing. Is every storage person's big thing this year includes or only includes an M.2 PCIe by 4 NVMe product.
All right.
Like it's basically everybody.
Well, when we get to the next guys, you can tell me the same thing.
Be.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, if that's all they had, and we'll have more on that.
No, SanDisk had different stuff. But if you want to talk about,
we're going to go in order
you talk about
the
them.
meetings. I definitely defined that as the structure of the podcast.
Yes.
Earlier, which means comes up next is our meeting with Intel, where we learned about the new compute sticks. We learned about new NUCs. The compute sticks were pretty interesting. So that is like, I guess I actually have one.
I was going to say, you want me to go grab it? I won't trip over anything.
Ken says he doesn't believe you, so no. We've got pictures of it on PCPer.com. They are updated the compute stick to the newest Atom platform, Cherry Trail. And that one's like $159, relatively inexpensive. You have 2 gigs of memory, 32 gigs of storage, 802.11ac 2x2 this time. So it's pretty impressive that way. But more impressive than the Cherry Trail one is the 2 Core M versions. They had a Core M3 and a Core M5 variant. So using like Skylake 4.5 watt parts, really. Prices are significantly more expensive. $399 for the Core M3, $499 for the Core M5 with vPro. But those both get bumped to 64 gigs of storage and 4 gigs of RAM on board as well. It's really impressive to see. Like, so they're if you don't know what they are, they're like little thumb drives, but they're a little bit bigger, and they have an HDMI port on the back instead of a USB connection. They actually did an interesting thing with the power brick for the higher end models, where it's a power brick you plug into the wall, and then you have a Type-C cable connection from that power brick to the device itself. And then on that power brick is 2 more USB 3.0 ports. Right? So it's kind of like it acts as a USB hub at the source of power, as opposed to like putting more USB ports on the outside of the compute stick device.
So on the physical brick that plugs into the power outlet.
Correct.
So you conveniently have more USB ports under the table or in between the furniture and the wall.
Yep. Correct.
Cool.
Yep. So it actually is. It's pretty neat, and you can see how they might even expand on that. Maybe offer display connections at the power wall, right, or like secondary display or something like that.
That'd be cool.
If your only computer, if you increase the performance capability of what these compute sticks can do, maybe you have your TV as one, and you have like a secondary monitor somewhere else or something. You could do that, or maybe you have audio connections through it or something. I could see that being interesting use of kind of distributed connections, because the reason they couldn't, like, you could put there's the chipset has support for more USB ports on there, but you don't want to make the device any bigger or more expensive, or right?
Would running the USB down with the power cable into the brick introduce any kind of electrical noise if playing back with some sort of audio?
No,
USB
not if it's
product?
digital. Because I'm
going to skew those bits to a higher octave.
Yeah, it would. It would
up a little bit.
Yeah, but he's not even paying attention. It wouldn't work because the higher clock rate generator on the USB cable itself. I heard that somewhere. Right? Oh, Alan looked up. No.
I think Ken may have actually been sleeping.
I couldn't tell if he was looking at his laptop or he's actually. You're on video, right?
Do you ever forget that you're on video?
It wasn't on purpose.
The Nook. They basically updated the entire line of Nook to Skylake based processors. So we'll actually be getting those in for testing and stuff. And we did get the Cherry Trail version of the compute stick. It's available today.
What about Broadwell E compute stick?
No, that's.
Are they enabling overclocking on compute stick yet?
No.
It's actively cooled.
It is actively cooled. It does have a fan. It does have a fan.
I got 50 more megahertz.
You can do that.
You don't need the fan. If you just stick a screwdriver in there and jam it, it'll work fine.
Oh, to quiet it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that won't
People do
overclock
this?
it for sure.
People put a screwdriver in the fan. I hate those little fans.
It actually just not that bad, but it's also
put
on the
it
backside
behind
of
your
the TV.
TV.
Yeah.
Where actually any kind of airflow would be a good thing for your TV's sake.
Right, so there you go. The compute stick helps cool your TV. Done. But the Nooks are just kind of updates across the board to Skylake, and like I said, we'll get hands on with those. The two higher performance compute sticks, they're more expensive, will be a February time frame to it. So we'll see. Josh, you went to go see Dell.
I did,
and they announced at least one really cool thing that I know about.
Yeah, a couple of interesting things.
got?
They had some actor there doing jokes and whatnot. Josh something or other.
Walworth?
No. From Silicon Valley, the HBO show.
Long curly hair, like kind of a bigger husky guy?
No. He's a shorter guy, but he had kind of longer dark hair. He said he played a moron on the Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay. He's the guy that goes to work for Hulu, and they keep promoting him even though he's not doing anything. Yeah, okay. I know who you're talking about now.
Okay, so he was there trying to crack jokes. He did okay. It was really kind of funny because I was sitting by, I guess, his entourage, and the girl, her only thing there was to laugh at all of his jokes. So she was the one who started laughing, and then...
Did you laugh with her?
Around. No, because it wasn't that funny.
Wait a minute. You said he did okay.
I mean, you
didn't laugh at a single joke.
You got to feel for the guy, right?
No.
I got paid all this money to come up on stage and make a fool of myself.
Josh has a feel for
I
him
do that for
because-
free.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, they announced a handful of products. Latitude 7000 series. This is the Latitude version of the XPS 13. So it's 13-inch, real carbon fiber, a QHD screen.
Whoa, what?
What?
Real carbon fiber?
Where is the carbon fiber?
I think in the top.
Okay.
It's trendy.
It is kind of trendy.
We saw that with Lenovo.
But it has all the security and it's allowed to be docked. So you've got those things going for
Okay, we have a security person here, somewhat, right?
Yep.
Comparing vPro versus like a TPU solution, is there an advantage to one or the other?
You mean
Wait a minute.
TPM?
TPM, sorry.
I didn't deal
The only
with that part
TPM
of-
I
Yeah,
know
he didn't
is
deal with vPro.
Okay.
the reports.
Because I had asked the lady at the Dell booth 2 days ago, whenever that was,
It was last night.
and 2 days ago.
Wasn't even 24 hours ago.
And
What is this stuff
she
supposed
said-
to be doing? Like,
she was talking about how it was a secure laptop, and the last news post I wrote about a secure laptop was a TPM chip. So I'm like, oh, does it have TPM? She said vPro, which I know is built into the processor.
Yeah, vPro is a collection of software and hardware
I think it
from
includes
Intel.
TPM.
It may that allows Intel to promote security, remote management. It's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's not just security.
Okay.
So it's like
really.
Infrastructure kind of
Just a
platform module.
It's enterprise level like remote management stuff.
Yeah.
But also security and
Probably has like a
partially for
fingerprint
TP
reader and
Yeah,
crap like that.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, go ahead.
They also showed off the Latitude 12-inch 2-in-1. You saw that last night.
Yep, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean it's
a
4K display, 12-inch, Gorilla Glass, magnesium alloy frame, and it's pretty reasonable specifications on it. Of course, because they're Latitudes, they're a little bit more expensive. Lots of accessories already for these things: external batteries, docks, outputs, so that you can plug something in and still have like VGA out if you want. Thunderbolt and USB 3.1 connections that can do both power and display. So they have a reasonable amount of stuff.
I'd like to try that.
Then the I don't know for sure if it's 4K or if it's 5K, but they did show off their 30-inch OLED, and it's either
30-inch OLED
monitor.
No, 30-inch, 30-inch, not a laptop.
It is 4K.
It's a monitor. It's a 4K.
It is 4K.
Monitor.
Yep.
And I
30-inch at
think it's
4K.
priced at around $5,000.
That's outrageous.
It's not. It's a 30-inch OLED.
Beautiful.
That is outrageous.
It's the same price that we saw the first 4K monitors launch at. Period.
And it's not it's not the beginning of OLED anymore.
It is for monitors.
I actually they had a question and answer period.
Yeah.
That's
And
profligacy.
there was like one other guy who asked a question. Then I stupidly opened my mouth and I said, "When will we expect to see, a wider range of products featuring OLED? We've got the 13-inch and we've got a 50-inch.
Right.
Where's all the stuff in between?
You're like 30.
And 30-inch. I was thinking LG with their 55-inch.
If they had, never mind.
Anyway, but from 13 to 30-inch. And his response was, the price curve so far with OLEDs are not at the point where they're comfortable in introducing them. So they've got this professional 30-inch OLED that they are doing for $5,000, and they're making the money that they want off of it. But as production increases, obviously we'll get lower costs and we'll have more selection of products in the future. But I think a total of 3 companies have announced laptops using OLED. It's Dell, Lenovo, and is it just Alienware as
it's
well?
Alienware.
That's Dell.
It's
I
Dell.
know it's Dell, but I thought that there may have been.
I know Alienware did, and we saw the Lenovo one, but I hadn't heard of a third vendor yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, it is a USB Type-C monitor, so we can plug it into nothing that we own. It's only Type-C.
Well, you can get an adapter.
Yeah.
Display
It's a
port.
$5,000 monitor, and I have to buy an adapter for it.
Don't you want a $5,000 monitor to be future-proof?
How much does...
Why are you worried about using it now when you could use it in the future?
DisplayPort ain't going anywhere.
And that's using an LG, I'm sure, OLED panel.
I have no idea.
How much does an LG 4K TV cost in
Less than
a
that.
larger size? Half as much. Less than half.
An LG OLED TV?
Yeah, like a 55-inch 4K OLED
4K.
TV.
I don't know.
Under 4,000.
He was positing a
55.
question he already knew the answer to.
It was a rhetorical question.
I hate that shit.
I was being sardonic. No, I wasn't really being mean enough to be sardonic.
Yeah.
I was being obnoxious. Bombastic. I'm being bombastic.
Now you're being pompous.
I am being pompous.
I don't know the difference between monitors and TVs, but that's existed forever, right?
You know what the difference between monitors and TVs? Here's the difference. There is no difference.
Right, I know, but I mean, like in the markets, there has always been a price difference. Monitors are always more expensive than TVs.
Makes really nice monitors. Dell, if you're watching, I like your monitors. They're really well made, and I like how most of them have swivel and tilt and
Things like
height
that.
adjustment. But
I like
they're
that they display pictures.
ridiculously overpriced once you get past the entry level. You get up to ultra sharp, and you're like, that's $200 more than.
But they have a
should be. And then you go
reputation
up
for
to
making probably the best LCD monitors, especially at the ultra sharp range.
No, they don't have that anymore.
Really?
They haven't had that since the 3008 came out.
That was only in 2008.
Yeah.
They have a lot of competition now, and if they're getting into OLED,
When's the last time you thought about buying a Dell monitor?
I haven't thought about buying a monitor in probably a long time.
When's the last time you went, I want to review that Dell monitor?
About buying a
the
monitor
Dell 5K is one of those, right?
Okay.
And guess who makes that panel?
Dell.
Well,
LG.
here's the problem: is that from like 2008 through last year, there was no real differentiation between anybody.
Right, like
on
the 3008
panels.
was like, well, we've made the best monitor you can make with, regards to
technology that we have.
professional stuff, right? It was it was a fantastic IPS 30-inch 2560 by 1600 screen.
Dell has just like.
What I'm saying is, you look at. Sorry,
like,
go ahead.
there's been a lot of new monitor tech coming out. Dell's not leading that.
If I was looking at a Dell monitor, I'm like, I look at the specs, I look at the panel size,
think they're
type,
also-
resolution. I could go to the manufacturer of the panel and look at theirs, like LG, and the LG one on Newegg will be less than the Dell. The attractive part of Dell to me always was with Ultra Sharp, you have perfect pixel guarantee. Anybody who's going to offer you a return if you're not satisfied takes care of that. And waiting on cross shipping, and I don't know if you get a refurbished unit back, if there's limitations on it. But then ASUS started doing their own perfect pixel guarantee. It's become fashionable to do this. Everybody's, it seems, has started offering.
It's not just fashionable; like it's a worthwhile support feature.
If they didn't have to do it, they wouldn't do it.
That and bad pixels are much less likely nowadays.
Far less likely.
Less likely to notice.
Yeah, because it's more dense. You have more density. The monitor sizes have been getting smaller, like a 24-inch WQHD, a 23-inch WQHD. So you're not really going to see one bad subpixel necessarily if it's not right in the middle of the screen. But anyway, that's...
Hey, maybe it takes them a bit longer to engineer their products, and they're just catching them with the curve.
The reason that a 30-inch, which is an unusual size, could be that expensive is because no one else is ordering that panel, so it's being made specifically for that monitor and that monitor only, such as
Nobody
the
else,
5K display.
Clearly, nobody's selling anything.
The only people who use the 5K display are Apple and Dell, and it's the same panel, and it's made by LG.
HP.
HP makes one now too?
HP's had a version for a while.
So maybe the cost will come down?
I don't know.
But Dell charges $2,000 for that monitor, and Apple sells the iMac 5K for $1,699, and they have the same panel.
It's got a computer in it.
And it has an entire computer behind it.
Wait, you can do that?
No. I invented it.
I got a roll of gaff tape over there for you.
Okay. I've got a compute stick. So
you get a compute stick, and you plug it into your TV, and then you use WiDi to put that over onto your...
They also showed off the new Ultra Sharps that we saw one last night. They're wireless, and what I didn't know is that the base of that actually has a wireless charger in it. So you have your phone that has the wireless thing. You put it on there.
Yeah.
Is it Qi? Did they say it was Qi?
They didn't say what. It just said it's a wireless charger. You throw your crap on there and
I guess
it charges.
that's just become the default now anyway.
Mostly.
No. Who was using another one?
Lenovo
was using
the other one.
The other standard. No. Like for the wireless charging.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It was... I forget what the name of the charger was.
Their phones has.
It was like one that Intel is backing or something, I think. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But there are competing options there, which is, a pain in the ass because they're not interoperable. So, anything else from Dell then?
Just tomorrow is the Alienware announcement of the 13-inch. They hadn't actually announced it, but they talked about it during the live stream. So
the 13-inch Alienware
OLED
PC or notebook.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Alan, you went to SanDisk?
Yeah, they got a few new things.
Okay, what they got?
So previously we didn't review this yet because they just didn't sample it to us. But they used to have a SanDisk Extreme 500 portable SSD, kind of like a Samsung T1.
Okay.
Just more of a diamond shape. Like the port is actually at the edge of the diamond.
Okay.
Where it plugs in. Same kind of deal though. Really thin, flat. Solid state equipped little portable drive, right?
Right.
But then they got a bunch of feedback because that wasn't really any kind of like outdoorsy. You know what I mean? Like people were putting them like hiking with them and stuff like that, and they weren't
rugged.
They weren't water sealed or anything like that. They weren't really rugged.
Alan, as storage editor,
and
a
what
confirmed storage enthusiast,
right?
When you go hiking, do you take?
Well, I don't
SSD
go hiking
with you.
Well, I mean, if I did, it'd be in my bag and stuff. Well, so here's
You
the thing.
never know what
that's,
you may be able to torrent.
That's what they've.
That's true.
That's what they found out is
Wait,
that like
this gas station has Wi-Fi?
yeah. Well, let me
Star
download a
Wars
movie.
Episode 7.
Yeah. So so what they found was they got a lot of feedback from people because it is actually like nature photographers and just people that are just they're just out. Like it's a portable solid state drive.
All right. So they got that feedback.
The solid state drive part of it kind of makes it rugged. Like so, if you're in the market for that, you want something that's not like a spinning disc that you're going to potentially ruin if you drop. Right.
So what they changed?
So they put like a high density rubber like bumper around the outer edge of it. So like you could probably just throw it at the ground and it would just bounce. Like that's all it would do.
I'm in for that.
And then that rubberized ring around it also has like incorporated like a flexible plug that plugs the micro
USB port.
micro USB port on the side of it. So it basically makes it pretty much watertight, or at least like you probably just sit out in the rain and nothing will happen to it, right?
Okay.
Just little changes like that, kind of making it more rugged. They say it has an IP55 rating for water and dust resistance, whatever that means.
That's my favorite rating for
yeah.
dust resistance. Actually, is 56 was overkill.
It made it too heavy.
Yeah.
And 54, you leave it outside and it would get ruined.
So silly. And it's a 480 gig drive.
Oh,
is what they do.
All right, that's big.
But that's all they do as far as capacity.
One capacity. All right.
Just one
So what else they
capacity.
got?
Now, a little bit better.
How much dollars?
Ooh, dollars. That's a good question.
Do they have it in their release? 250.
50 cents a gig, but it's rugged.
50 cents a gig for a rugged,
Okay. Reasonable.
compact, external
Cool.
USB 3 SSD.
Right.
The Ryan Shrout seal of approval. 50 cents a 50 cents a gig. If it's durable, I
It's like
guess.
we just put like an editor's choice logo around
Choice.
around the letters meh.
no,
it's
not editor's choice. PC Perspective.
The
PC
meh.
Perspective award winner, runner up. For ruggedness and durability, price per gig
Yes.
category.
Yes.
Right, that's a good award for
We
next
make up the
year.
category
Yeah.
that's specific to just that one product.
Yeah.
And
You know, a
then
lot of
they
little
always
acrylic
win the award.
We're
pillars
going to need a lot of trophies.
with your logo on it.
We need an award maker on retainer in Las Vegas.
You know what? We have somebody who's very creative with
we do.
pasting things and images that we could contact.
What else did they have, Al?
So they had a what they call a wireless stick,
Okay.
which is what looks like kind of a longish USB 3 drive, except it also has a battery in it, and with it not connected to a PC, it connects like a wireless NAS, kind of.
Okay.
What are you doing with that microphone? All right. And previously it was only like a 16 gig drive or something. So they kind of made it more miniature, thinner, lighter, all that stuff. Still works as long. Like you could stream a movie from it for like 8 hours supposedly on a charge. And now it's a 200 gig drive as well. So like a pretty thin kind of.
So it has a battery on it.
There's a battery built in. Imagine a thumb drive with a battery built in and a little power button on it.
Okay. And then what?
So it's disconnected from the PC. It's in your backpack. So you can turn it on.
Yeah.
And it acts like a wireless.
Oh, okay.
Like a wireless.
Okay. Like a wireless NAS type.
Like a wireless
storage,
NAS.
Just wireless storage device. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like something that you had a battery and then you plugged in anyway, and I thought that seems dumb.
No. But when you do plug it
Okay, I
in,
gotcha.
you can plug it in the computer and access the same storage.
Right.
And also it charges.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And stuff like that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's,
that's neat.
It's kind of a cool idea. They're just expanding on it and making it, higher
Sure.
capacity and stuff.
All right.
And then what I think is the most important is they are making now SanDisk typically makes like the drives that end up as like an OEM drive in a system.
Right.
Like you tend to see SanDisk as one of the big, either ADATA or SanDisk typically. Especially like when ASUS first launched their first Ultrabook, right? It was you either got the SanDisk SSD or the ADATA SSD, right? Except in that case, the SanDisk one was a slower one, and the ADATA one was the faster one, and it was kind of sucked for them back then, right? So they've kind of been working to be better about that stuff. So now they're qualifying with OEMs a 1 terabyte M.2 single-sided. Chips are only on one side. There's only 4 chips on it. It's a 1 terabyte drive. It's TLC, but they're doing kind of what Samsung does, where it has on-die SLC as well. So it acts like an Evo, basically, right?
Right.
But the important part of all this is it's probably going to be a reasonably priced unit, and it's something that's going to potentially be in laptops that you buy, with just if you want one equipped with a drive up to 1 terabyte. It wouldn't be that bad of a thing if it came with a drive that could perform kind of on 840 Evo.
So what the hell is it? What you just talked for a while? Is this just an M.2 SSD?
OEM though. It's not meant to be retail.
Okay.
So it's
Is it cheap?
We don't know. It's not meant to be retail.
I don't understand.
It's TLC, so the cost per gig will be good.
Is PCIe but not NVMe? Or is it M.2 SATA?
No, it's M.2 PCIe.
Okay.
Yeah. So in other words, what I'm excited about there is that OEM built-in laptop drives might not
Stop
so
caressing
bad.
your microphone, Ryan.
Stop what?
Caressing your microphone.
What am I doing?
You're
rubbing it.
You're rubbing the.
Oh, this is the wire.
Well, all of it.
Can you hear it?
Yeah. Everyone can hear it.
So previously, the SanDisk OEM SSDs were the bad ones.
No, they weren't.
They were the slow ones.
No, they weren't. This
Yeah.
has a SanDisk SSD in it. It goes 900 megabytes a second.
Well, but
this is 2.5 years
that
old.
Only comes in Max. That one.
I bet ASUS could have bought it if they wanted to.
Anyway,
So-
so normal computers like PCs,
So
not niche market stuff, might also get non-sucky built-in SSDs. That's my point.
okay. PCIe.
PCIe, yes.
All right. That was the third thing
That's it for them.
for the SanDisk.
Yeah.
Let me go back to my calendar here. Let's. You talked to Inwin today.
I did talk to Inwin.
What did they have?
Their usual kind of really impressive, probably very, very expensive limited edition case, front and center when you walked up front. They have a new H-frame case.
H-frame. Which one is that one?
It looks like...
This is not the motorized robotic.
No. They had that, too.
That was something they showed at Computex for the first time.
Yeah, I've seen it
I
a few
guess.
times. The crazy self-opening, self-closing case.
Right.
Yeah, it's $2,500, by the way. Soon, it's coming up for sale on Newegg. Was the news on that one for $2,500 in the U.S.
$2,500
in the U.S.
That's it?
Yeah.
I'll pair that with my new Dell monitor.
Yeah. Between enclosure and monitor, you've already spent almost
$7,500.
Yeah,
We're not even talking about the headphones I saw.
Okay,
You saw $2,400 headphones.
Yeah.
nah,
that's cheap.
That's cheap for audiophiles.
Yeah. So, so you did see that one, but that's not really a.
No, they had a new version they're kind of testing out of the 805, which is their more budget-minded case. It still has a full glass side panel. Mm-hmm. This one had tempered glass side panels, but it also had kind of an infinity mirror type effect with the front.
On the front, yeah. So if you've seen like infinity mirror coffee tables where you use LED lights and the double mirror goes with that, it's an interesting effect. I don't know how useful it is for a case, a computer.
It's all about
case?
style. It's all about looking
Yeah,
cool.
it is. It is.
Inwin is all about style.
It looked pretty cool.
They had power supplies that were completely covered in aluminum and had chamfered edges around the fan
Chamfered
opening.
edges?
Yes.
For her pleasure.
That's not what chamfered is for.
That makes them sharp and shiny. So it was just some kind of unnecessarily ornate things, but their cases overall, it was a very impressive booth, and their cases look nice. They said that H-Series case, there'll be a news post up soon. It'll be on later tonight, but the H-Series case, limited edition, is going to be expensive, but they had a little bit more of the mainstream as well. That 805 was their sort of mainstream.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and they're getting into power. Like everybody
Supplies.
else. Like USB power brick.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
Every
that.
single person I've talked to so far is like,
I
and we're getting into power.
I actually have a line of external batteries.
Yeah.
as well.
I haven't, yeah, but I've been.
They're for sale on Amazon.
Really? What brand?
I don't know.
He
Good
farms
bit.
all that out.
Good bit.
Yeah, no, Aoki. Yeah, no.
So they don't charge iPhones.
Shroud. It's the
it's a Shroud Power Limited SPL.
Shrouded out.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Alan, do you want to talk about data? You're gonna look up your pictures. Okay, that's fine.
I could talk about my Onkyo. Well,
Your what?
Onkyo.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. They did show off something kind of interesting. The DPX1.
Okay.
Don't take that too personally. It is a digital audio player. It's a portable thing.
DAP.
Yeah, I mean it's
digital audio player. Okay. The whole day I thought you'd been saying DAC.
Think of one of the first generation iPods.
Okay.
Except that
or that thing that I keep referencing that
Wait, does it have
Willie
a
Nelson
click
did.
wheel type thing on the front of it?
No.
Because Theo did that, and it looks like a first generation iPod.
Yeah, no. This is actually it's an Android device, and so it's got a touch screen.
Okay.
Looks like a phone about the same size except thicker. Internal components, really, really good stuff. Dual ESS. What is their high-end DAX?
Saber
DAX.
You know which one? Was it 9018 or 9023?
I think it was 9023.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was. I've got the list out there.
Two of them.
Two of them, and it's dual amp, dual DAC. Supports the MQA audio.
The new high resolution format for download and streaming.
Exactly. It only comes with 32 gigs of internal memory, but it has 2 micro SD slots. You can have 200 gigs on each, so a total of 432 gigs of
200 gigs?
What?
Is that really the limitation right now? Is it still 256 or can they do 512?
Well, they said 200 gigs per micro SD slot.
Okay.
In terms of build, they've separated the CPU unit from all the audio stuff, so there's no PCB connection between the two. The big deal is that it's $899.
That's not that high.
It's not terrible, but for a lot of us who are
look at the Assel and Kern stuff, and then look at the other kind of independent one, Calyx.
It's really high for me.
It's high for me. Yeah.
When I asked
if
you
you look
how
at
much
that
this
market
was earlier, you told me like $299.
No, that was the Pioneer version.
Oh, okay.
Does this device play back 128 kilobit per second MP3 files?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Mono.
Yeah. But it does also
mono for 128 mono would be nice.
Yeah.
Wait, what is the podcast?
64 kilobit per second.
Yeah.
Mono usually is.
Yeah.
For podcasting.
It also supports all the major streaming things like Pandora and Spotify and.
So it has actual apps on it?
Yeah.
It's an Android device.
Yeah, Android device.
Yeah.
Well,
With the Google
I
Play.
have a Calyx M, and they put their proprietary UI over Android, and it's completely locked out. You can only use your
I see.
proprietary interface to do stuff that you've synced to it or put on it with like an SD card.
Nope.
This has the Play Store, I believe.
That's interesting.
They were saying.
So you could
It's like an
potentially get
actual
firmware
Android
updates right
device.
to the device, that sort
Probably.
of thing.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I mean, it's a neat looking product. Again, Pioneer and Onkyo are kind of getting close together, and Pioneer has some interesting things. I just went next door, talked to them. I listened to the SE Master headphones. They're the $24.99. The interesting thing about that is it's an open ear design. I think it's a 50 millimeter diaphragm. Anyway, one guy makes it in one factory, and he makes one a day. So
Hence the $2,500 price tag.
Exactly. And it's a really
He
interesting
works
design.
8 hours a day.
That's funny because Pioneer has been moving away from high end. Their Elite line was high end for so long, and now it's like they make the budget Elite integrated amplifiers, and they have some better stuff, but they actually pretty much, was it Pioneer who was purchased by Onkyo? Is that how it went?
I think so.
And they kind of have phased out the high end Pioneer, and it's now high end Onkyo.
Yeah. But now they're more of the consumer brand. But anyway, they also have a digital audio player. I forgot to get all the information, took a picture of it. But it's essentially a single amp DAC version of the Onkyo one. And I think it is $299.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a lot more compelling because there's a lot of stuff in that $1,000-ish
I might be
range
I might
now.
be as a non-audiophile ish type person really at all. I might be willing to try something for $300 to try to teach myself how to listen to music better, as opposed to something that's like
And it's
$900
extremely
or
portable, and you
$1,000.
take it to the office and you
Well,
plug your
like-
speakers in. And,
Even if you're not an audiophile, I think like moving back towards a dedicated audio device instead of using our phones for all that stuff might be a better idea because, like, if you're, I guess I don't know.
You used to make fun of me for carrying my Zune HD around.
I never made fun of you for your Zune.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
I'm going to step up on the soapbox for a second here and say,
No.
if you, a viewer of television, it's right here. It's right here.
No, it's right here.
What's wrong with that? Side address. If you look at a 4K TV playing native 4K content, you're like, wow, it looks really crisp, it looks really good. Mm-hmm. And then you look at like poor content on that, you're like, oh, that's like scaling or something.
480p
like,
video,
that's really bad. Or somebody's like casting their phone up on the screen and playing a 320 YouTube video they found. And you're like, that looks so bad. Mm-hmm. And it's apparent. And you're like, that's really blurry, that's better, that's kind of soft, that's really sharp. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very easy to do that with visual stuff. With video. But we don't call people like, oh, you're a videophile.
You're
like
a visualist.
4K native, you videophile.
You like to see.
But if I listen to 96K 24-bit music and I can hear the difference, and I can hear if something's being sampled up that's lower bit rate, or if I listen to an MP3, I'm like, oh, it's an MP3. On high enough end equipment that I can tell the difference, I'm suddenly just, oh, you're an audiophile.
I didn't say it as a derogatory term.
You always have.
You've never liked me, Dad. Never. Josh was always your favorite.
I learned this week that it has an actual definition term. Right?
What? No, it
That
doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
last week. When
Was it last week?
We're degrading my pick of the week
I was.
for saying, yeah, but it has audiophile in the title. How am I supposed to feel about that?
Yeah. No, that's true. I take back
what's
what
the
I said just
definition
now.
of
I
audiophile?
take back what I said right now, and I revert back to what I said last
A
week.
degenerate.
Just so you know. All right. Well, that was cool. Let's see. ASUS. Ken and I went to go see ASUS.
We're only the ASUS.
Yeah, no. They, and it turns out
I already fell asleep once.
they didn't have that much stuff, honestly. They had some new networking gear. They had a USB 802.11 AC adapter that, like, when you opened it up, looked like some kind of angry insect. It was odd. They had 2 cable modems.
Yeah, they integrated a cable modem into a 4x4 AC router.
I have a question. Did they specify whether it was DOCSIS 3 or is
They're
it 3.1?
3.0, I think.
Yeah.
See, so then you're locked into 3,
Who is this company?
ASUS.
and it's your router to. I was
you
hoping
not
it would
been
at
paying
least be
attention?
like the newest.
Is it going to work with DD-Wort and like aftermarket firmware and
Probably
stuff?
not.
I have no idea. I didn't ask that.
They made a bigger deal out of being DD.
Can you do that if it has a cable
compatible
modem?
this year?
I don't think
That's my concern. It would have to be a separate part of it.
Did you see the new
Yeah.
MU MIMO router announced by?
Hey,
It's
just pulled that off the table.
It sounds bad. Come on, concentrate.
You have to talk into the microphone. You can't talk into the side of it.
It's true.
Alan, did you read our excellent news post about the new Linksys router?
I did not yet.
Anyway, they're emphasizing, and they actually had a separate press release about emphasizing immediate availability of custom firmware. They're not. They took so much crap for releasing that big 1900 AC, and with a lockdown chip and no kind of being wishy-washy about
immediate access to firmware from who?
from
OpenWRT?
They said they were releasing products that were DDWRT compatible.
That's the exact same thing they said with the 1900 AC.
All right.
That's word for word.
No, but with the 1900 AC launch, they said, "Oh, that'll be coming soon. We're working on that."
No, they said compatible.
Because wasn't it an issue with the actual Qualcomm chipset not having DDWRT?
It wasn't Qualcomm. It was Marvell.
Oh, it was Marvell. That's right.
It's because they were using Marvell and like
They don't
Now they're
source
using
drivers.
Qualcomm. They were using Marvell.
Okay. Well, see, that was the catch. If they're using a radio that's more either known and also has proper open source, like open source drivers that they can integrate, like the DD-Work guys and the Tomato guys can just integrate into their build.
Right.
I also think they're using the same chipset. I don't know this for sure, but they're advertising a 1.4 gigahertz dual core for basically all of them.
Okay.
These higher end ones use the same one.
Okay. Well, it's good. I mean, I'm glad that they're hopefully going to be able to get into it, because it took like over a year for that 1900 AC for that first one to come out, for it to get any sort of proper firmware support from anybody else.
Anyway, ASUS.
Yeah.
So they made some networking gear.
It's cool they're getting into the cable modem game, so because they have a standalone one too, so maybe
Oh, like more price competitive? Or?
they weren't really talking pricing,
well,
but like
eventually, if there's more competition.
hopefully
cable modem?
someone other than Motorola will sell
'cause
cable modems
Motorola,
that
you
want to
go
buy.
and it's like $79.99, $99.99.
They said they had like approval from all of, like, it was certified for all of the cable networks and stuff like that, and it was going to be very price competitive. Like, it was going to be low
That's
cost.
cool.
Like, they're trying to do that.
My concern is, to some extent, sometimes your cable modem is a sacrificial lamb for lightning and stuff like that. Like, people
Sure.
house gets struck by lightning.
Yeah,
what
but
happens?
this doesn't change anything.
Well, yeah, it does, because normally only your modem would get fried. Now your modem/router is getting fried at the same time. I mean, the router part would still work, but it's no longer a modem anymore.
Yeah, I
which
mean,
would
it's the same
kinda
thing.
suck.
You just have to buy another modem again.
Right.
And they're
still have,
selling
like,
it. They sell a
WAN port
separate
on the back,
freestanding modem.
or is it
too.
just like a switch?
It's a switch.
So no
There's
WAN port. You
there's
couldn't use it
probably
as
a
an
WAN
external
port.
router.
There probably is one just
I don't know.
for the heck of it. Like,
Somebody should have done a news post on this. I don't know. Look at a picture of the back of it. I don't know. That's a good
I
question.
looked
Like,
at the back of it, and I think there's a WAN port.
you think there's a WAN port?
Yeah.
Okay. If we look at, like, we looked at a couple of motherboards. We've already talked about them. The Maximus 8 formula that has all the LED light strip connections and stuff like that. That was really cool. We saw the AMD 970 board with SLI support.
Just real quick, I saw the 805 demo was using that board.
The AMD
Asus,
970 board.
Maximus.
Oh, the 8
Hero
formula?
Alpha, or it was the formula.
Yeah.
Whichever one that has
Had the LED
RGB
connections.
headers. And so the case was cycling through its own RGB, and it was being controlled by the motherboard that was also cycling its own logo.
So they had the same 4-pin, like the kind of standard RGB 4-pin connection.
So that
That's
was
cool.
my first experience seeing it.
That's cool. That's a
it
good
worked really,
implementation
really
for
well.
it. Yeah. They had a 24-inch G-Sync monitor, TN 1080p, but it was like a smaller one. I think it was going to be $549. It's less expensive than other G-Sync monitors, but it's still too expensive. Like,
It's 1080p.
comparatively. Yeah. But they said they had a lot of requests for it. They had a lot of requests of people asking for smaller versions. And then the other monitor we saw was the ROG 348Q, I think.
Is that 4K?
No, it's a 3440 by 1440 ultra wide display.
Oh, okay.
They actually announced it at Computex, I think, as well. It has this really cool, as Ken called it, a helical like foot design, like pedestal design, where it kind of looks like it's being twisted as the stand comes down. It has a light that projects a red ROG logo onto the desk.
Which is just kind of stupid.
Because gamers, red.
I think it's cool looking.
Red, sharp edges.
It has good industrial design on it. It's good. It looks nice.
What's the refresh?
100 hertz.
Oh, okay.
100 hertz. And I think they're going to be able to go above that.
Ooh.
I think they might be able to go above that. We'll see. They weren't real committal on it.
But they were sounding
user adjustable. Can the user go
So,
from
like,
60 to 100?
if you look at the Predator X34, which is essentially the same panel from Acer today, it comes at 75 and you can overclock it to 100. This one is going to come. The Asus one's going to come at 100 out of the box, and I think it'll be able to go above that. So we might get 30 for 40, maybe like 120 or something like that, which would be
good.
pretty neat. It's still going to be an expensive piece. It's going to be like same price range as that Acer. It's going to be $1,200 or something like that, and that's actually shipping in February 1st. So pretty soon on that. And then the last thing we saw was the external dock, the XG2, external graphics 2, XG2. And this was an external dock for discrete graphics card that uses two USB 3.1 Type-C connectors to connect back to the machine. Now, what's interesting about that is it uses two cables. If it only has one cable, it's doing PCI Express 3.0 by 2. If it has two cables, it's doing PCI Express 3.0 by 4. So, depending on how sensitive you are to how much bandwidth that GPU is using, if you use two cables, it'll also power the laptop that it's connected to off of the power bricks that are charging the external graphics unit itself. So that's kind of a nice little add-on. Supports, I think, up to 460 watts of power. So, basically any GPU that's out there.
Across two external power supplies, which is interesting.
Yeah, so there's two external power bricks that you plug in to the box, and the reasoning for it was, well, for me, I think just one 460 watt power brick's probably going to be unwieldy. Idea. But they had two. It's like, well, if you're putting like a 150 watt GPU in there, then you only have to plug in one of them. Right, you don't actually have to plug in.
At least it gives you the option.
Yeah.
If you put in a 960 and you had to use both, that would
right.
be great.
For me personally, I would be worried about like having 150 watt in there and then like losing the second adapter when I wanted to upgrade the video card or something later. Yeah. So I would probably just leave them both plugged in.
What I recommend doing is laying them side by side, taping them together, and just that's it. Forget about
nothing could go wrong.
Yeah.
It's an interesting device. Like you to really take full advantage of it, you need two USB 3.1 Type-C connectors. It's using PCI Express for the data transfer. It's not using Thunderbolt. It's using PCI Express, and so in theory, it has like one less logical hop between the device and stuff. So it's really cool. It's closer to like the idea of the universal one, but we saw one at AMD. There was a Razer one that is literally
Thunderbolt 3
has like hot plug capability into a system. We didn't actually see it working, but they swear that it has hot plug capability into the system.
They're going the route that Intel's recommending, because Intel mentions when we're talking about Thunderbolt 3 in the beginning that external GPUs they will support with Thunderbolt 3. It's built into Windows 10 now, mostly because Microsoft built it for the Surface Book.
Right, I think so.
They're hooks that AMD and NVIDIA can hook into in Windows 10 to make their driver work.
Yep.
Seems like it might be
be getting close.
Might.
I don't think there's anything else at ASUS that we saw that stood out to me. Like I said, I think they're taking a stance now where I think they got a little bit poo-pooed on for shipping or announcing and talking about a lot of stuff at Computex, and then now they're here announcing and talking about the same stuff at CES, and now it's going to be available in the next month. So they're maybe like slowing down how early they start chatting about things. But so there's that. Alan, anything from ADATA or OCZ you want to bring up?
All right, so ADATA, they always have they try to go really crazy on their RAM stuff.
Sure.
So their current thing is they had a demo running DDR4 3868.
Seems high.
Seemed pretty fast.
Yeah.
So that was cool. It was just like their newest XPG, whatever,
sure.
RAM. The storage stuff from them, they are going to be using the new Silicon Motion controller the one we were talking about the other day or actually we had a post on that one up that can talk to Intel and Micron, like 3D NAND.
Right.
So they actually had a demo of that new Silicon Motion controller running 2 terabytes worth of that Micron NAND, which is cool. So that's going to be an upcoming SSD. They don't have a model name of it yet.
Okay. Not something that's launching very soon.
No. And also they plan to have just like everybody else, and like this is
a PCIe NVMe SSD.
But they were very clear that their push was first into enterprise on that. So they're taking the Silicon Motion, that other controller that they showed us. That Silicon Motion was also being clear on saying, look, this is probably just OEM/enterprise. Right. At first. ADATA is putting that into an enterprise product first. So they'll have that in M.2, and they'll have that also in a U.2 drive. That's a 2 terabyte drive. Yeah. So finally there'll be somebody else
making a U.2 product.
Yeah, they'll be the second people from the sounds of it.
You got to have 2 before you can have 3 in a dozen.
Yeah, basically.
That's a good saying. I just made that up. I'm going to write that one down.
And then they were just,
2.
Yeah.
Have 3 in a dozen.
And then they had some other kind of, they're going to make XPG DIMMs that have like LEDs on them and kind of bling stuff. And,
wait, are they going to have RGB LEDs?
No,
16.8 million colors.
It looked like they were prototype kind of things and not even finalized, but it looks like they were just going to be like the color of whatever the DIMM was.
I used to have some DDR2 DIMMs,
and they kind of had
on them. Their eyes lit up,
and they kind of just had like a heartbeat thing, a slow heartbeat pulse thing going to them. But
this was the year of the RGB. If it's not RGB, I don't care.
Yeah.
When we do our year in review podcasts, trends of 2016, RGB.
We don't know if it would be best or worse,
basically.
But
both.
And they really didn't have,
Okay.
Their other big news was that all that, remember in previous years they were I said they were had a crap load of LED light bulbs as well that they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And they'd never sold them in the U.S. because they never UL listed them. So apparently that's going to happen. So then they're going to flood the market with LED light bulbs.
And hopefully drive the cost.
Get it?
Flood with
Oh,
light
look.
yes.
I prefer them to spot it.
And then they're also working on...
They had a bright idea bringing them here.
what were they showing?
That wasn't funny.
It's really...
Why you laugh? Immediately.
It's a really, really bright idea.
OCZ.
Yep, OCZ. Revo Drive 400, I actually saw one. So that's just their M.2
PCIe NVMe.
PCIe NVMe.
Enterprise or consumer?
No, consumer.
Okay. Cool.
It's just a Revo Drive 400, and the Revo line is Revo Drive line is consumer line.
But this is the first Toshiba consumer NVMe controller we've heard about.
Correct.
Or the first time, not the first time we've heard about it, but
Yes,
time
and
we've
it's
seen.
not Jet Express.
Yeah. Jet Express is the enterprise one, right?
That was what OCC's enterprise one was going to be before they became acquired by Toshiba. So I think Jet Express kind of evaporated, or just died on the vine or something. All right, so there's that we got to look at, and then
Cool.
there is an upcoming Tryon 150. We reviewed the Tryon 100
Right.
And loved it.
and did not love it, but they were very, very clear that the Tryon 150 will not do the little take a nap every 20 seconds thing that the Tryon 100 did.
I called
Once
it
again-
the Ken 100.
Once again, PC Perspective changing the SSD industry.
That's right.
For you.
Keep that in mind in the future weeks.
I guess. And then they actually do have some enterprise stuff coming up as well. Z Drive 6300.
Sounds like a router.
Kind of.
Z Drive, that's the more enterprisey one, right?
It's the 6300 AC.
Yeah, the Z Drive is the more enterprisey one. So that one's going to be like half height, half length card, kind of like a Intel, P3700-ish kind of thing. Right? Just like enterprise SSD.
Yeah.
And also in U.2. So it'll basically be like OCZ's equivalent of the Intel P series SSDs. Yes, also in U.2.
So finally another U.2
But-
option.
Yeah, but again, this
You know what they
enterprise-
say.
Intel are the only guys making a consumer branded or consumer marketed U.2 drive.
Yeah.
Everybody else that's gone U.2 has specifically gone in their enterprise part. So,
Yeah, but once they get cheap enough, once PCI NVMe storage gets cheap enough, we'll want drive base full of
I
them.
guess it's just
Can't really do that with M.2.
I just see people, and OCC actually asked me about that. They're like, "Oh, what do you guys think about U.2, or what do you think about U.2?" And I told them like, I don't want to do that hassle anymore. If I have M.2 and I could just stick it on the motherboard and be done with
But then
it,
you only have one drive.
that's great.
That's not great.
Or you
people
have
are
two
moving
or
RAID.
three.
No.
depending
America
on what
wants
motherboard.
RAID.
Well, but do you have your RAID in your home system,
Make America great again.
Maybe.
or do you have your RAID of mass storage sitting in your NAS?
Yeah, but
somewhere else in your
eventually
house?
mass storage will be SSDs.
If you think about it, storage
Right?
is too slow.
No,
10
mass
cents per
storage.
gigabyte.
It's gonna take a long
500
time.
megabytes per second. It's too slow.
At 10 cents.
That's too
RAID
slow. That's too
zero.
slow for you. 2 gig per
Five-
second is too slow for you.
I feel like I'm waiting milliseconds longer than I need.
That's okay. Who is it that sent that the triple M.2
Gigabyte.
Gigabyte makes a triple M.2.
See?
Why do laptops have all the fun? Why do
No.
This is a
No,
motherboard.
It's a
this was a
motherboard?
motherboard. This was a desktop motherboard.
SoC for
It had
I've seen
it had-
RAID M.2 in laptops.
No, dude. This had
And there are actually quite a few motherboards that have too.
this had 4.
All right, well,
There's at least several.
don't listen to anything I say.
Its PCI slots were set up like every other slot was the full length PCI, right? And then that little gap between you had
Each
three
one of
you
them?
had 3 gaps between the 4 slots, right? And each
I'm
one of
sorry
those
that
3
my
gaps.
perspective is skewed by
is
the
an
fact that
M.2.
my motherboard has one M.2.
Yeah, see, so you can do triple M.2
In any
SSD
event.
RAID.
U.2 here to stay forever.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
just
that-
like just
to
like
that
SATA
to me.
Express. Just like SATA Express.
Yeah, and that's it for them.
OCZ?
And then that's it for OCZ. Did you already get to the Patriot part?
No, we
in
haven't
your
gotten a
schedule?
Patriot yet.
No, not yet. Okay, good.
When I say Patriot out loud, that's your cue.
Got it.
Now we're going to talk about something probably the most intriguing CES visit that any of us have ever had. Sebastian went to Monoprice.
Monoprice
yeah.
literally sells something for everyone.
So
I think they actually make.
So
one
how
of
many
everything.
HDMI to DVI adapters did you see?
None. They weren't really showcasing some of those
Okay, so
It came with the press kit.
$3 parts.
I want to do this like let's go through this relatively quickly, but like
Okay.
the amount of stuff that they showed was kind of insane.
Mm-hmm.
They had a 3D printer.
They have a 3D printer
They
for
have several.
Really?
They had a 3D printer that was, what is the
FDM.
Okay.
It's a technology you're thinking of where you print layer by layer. It goes through like a hot glue gun extruder type deal.
This is $199?
Cures layer by layer.
$199
isn't unheard of, but looks like a really nice package.
Yeah, it's pre-built. It's not a kit or anything. You take it out of the box. It has a hot plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, heated bed.
I know nothing about 3D printers.
That's
and I told him I know nothing about 3D printers, but I was staring at this thing for $199 and thinking
I need to have
I could
one.
find a way to use
I could learn some stuff about 3D printers.
No,
I've got a USB connection.
I will replace Alan's desk.
Yeah. So they also had a DLP base.
Yes, a stereolithography, an SLA.
What? What's that mean? So there's 2 extruders?
No, this is completely different.
This is wild. So a little bit of material is in this little chamber, and then from below with DLP, they actually make an
digital
image on
light
it.
projection.
Yes, they make an image on it. That
Wait, you were
cures-
serious? I was making that up. Okay.
No, absolutely.
It's a UV.
Cures,
it's a UV
then
image.
they put another 1 micron thick layer over it and do it again, and you eventually make something in 3D that way. But you can do it to one.
It's extremely high resolution.
It's 10 times the resolution
of the other side.
of the other stuff.
The trade-off being
How much is this device?
$399.
the trade-off being build size. You can only make really tiny stuff with the one they were showing.
Yeah,
they can get bigger, but
it was a container. Like the actual material goes into something about the size of like a silver dollar, a little bit bigger than that.
It's liquid resin that's UV that cures in a UV light. So they do like a negative mask.
And they have the negative ones, but they're much more expensive in that they put a plate down at the bottom. They do some kind of laser. And then they pop it up. They do the next layer. They pop it up to the next layer.
That's what this is.
I thought it was going down.
No, it goes up.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
well, never mind then.
The application of it was extremely fine detail items like jewelry. You can use it to make jewelry.
Could you make an HDMI to DVI adapter?
I don't know, but at that detail level, I was just staring at it, and the first thing I thought of was Star Wars. I was thinking about. You could make your own like Star Destroyer or something that was so shockingly detailed.
Play tabletop games.
Put little tiny rivets in like a 1-inch model.
What?
So as a side
Make
note,
your own
I
little
tried building one of these a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
A 3D printer or a tabletop game?
A 3D printer out of a DLP projector,
and like that's what this one is.
Yeah, and the stepper motor from an optical drive. It went all right.
So
You should make awesome stuff.
I'm gonna make Steve send us one of these each. One of each of these.
But just to give you a quick idea, when I walked in the room, the first thing I looked at was a 7-channel home theater amplifier. Like they're actually making a high-end dual toroidal transformer, 300 watt per channel, 7-channel.
Understand this company.
For $1,500, but if you think
jack of all trades.
But for what it is and what it can do, that doesn't seem outrageously high at all. If you look at what the industry standards are for that, it's just, and it's Class AB. It's huge and heavy. They're not even using Class D amplifiers for it. Like Monoprice is making not just an amplifier, which I don't understand, and Class D probably AB that operates in Class A for the
How much is this?
So many watts. $14.99. It's more expensive because you're using toroidal transformers and it has a lot of power output.
Is that a reasonable price? Is that a low price?
It's not a low price
for that class.
No, because you would expect to see something like this. Well, for that class, no, it's not a high price.
Okay,
but there's a lot of stuff in around $1,000 that isn't as powerful.
Okay,
it's banking on the fact that it's significantly more powerful. It's not 100 watt or 125 watt per channel. It's 300 watts. I believe per channel. That is stereo output.
Did they show a drone?
They had a drone. They didn't just have a drone. They had a racing drone that goes over 70 miles an hour.
Well, they are just like trying to outdo everybody on everything.
And
at the
I
same
was
time.
being shown this drone, which unfortunately they would not fly for me
inside the suite. Yeah,
70 miles an hour into the wall.
I said we can just go outside. I pointed to the grass outside the window, and they're like, no, like. Okay.
Yeah,
when I was selling any of these,
I was hearing about with this, and they said they weren't going to be able to demo it. I was disappointed.
But the propellers on this thing actually rotate.
Yeah.
Oh,
the thing stays
pitch control.
Level. Yeah, pitch control.
That's awesome.
And so, even though it was made for more like enthusiasts and racing, and he said there's a lot of racing leagues coming up, and it's kind of becoming an enthusiast thing. this, because of the pitch control, would actually be an excellent camera if you're just using it for that purpose, because it can help steady it, and you'd rely less on digital image stabilization. So that was really cool. And this is just like not even close to our our purview.
So what else? What else do they have? Like, without giving the details,
Were they making an M.2 SSD yet?
Less detail. Okay, a 34-inch curved monitor. It was 75 hertz.
Variable refresh.
Not variable refresh. Okay. 75 hertz. $499, but it's like 1440p.
Wait.
It's ultra wide, 34.
Ultra wide.
How much dollars did you say?
$499.
$499?
Yeah.
That seems really cheap.
Yeah.
For 3440 by 1440, or is it 2560 by 1080?
No. 3440
How
by
is that possible?
1440.
Okay.
It's just the panel
it's
and
the
the most...
R2000. It's not the super curved one that we're going to see this year. So it's
the ASUS one we talked about before was an
looked really nice though. Well. It had kind of that Samsung look to it, like the Samsung TVs from 2 years ago, like this really simple silver base.
Yeah,
and it looked nice. But then I looked over across the room and they had a 24 or 27 inch, I don't remember, 1440p, just standard monitor.
We saw that at EVGA. It was the one that demo system was hooked up to.
The
one running Tomb Raider.
A monoprice monitor?
Pretty sure.
Well, damn it. Anyway,
unfortunately, they basically in their press release they're previewing an upcoming 4K 27-inch that they're going to be selling for $499, and it is an LG IPS panel.
So now we know how much that panel costs.
And the
$5
one that was actually there on display was a very low cost, very nice looking 1440p model. That's going to be showing up on their site very soon for half of that. So, wow. And the discussion is, and what's actually going to, the actual language you're going to be seeing on Monoprice, or may have been seeing on Monoprice, is they're using A+ panels. He says they've been using A+ panels for a while, but they're going forward, these are A+ grade panels. They're literally from the same production lines of the other brands. And they are also offering their own kind of perfect pixel guarantee. I think they have to call it Pixel Perfect Guarantee because of the trademark. But
this all sounds like somebody had a meeting about 9 months ago and said, "Look, cables, it's not it anymore. You know what's it? 3D printers, drones, monitors. What else do they have?
Yeah, but they've been doing this crap forever.
Receivers, right? But
I forgot the monitor. I think the 34-inch monitor.
Yep.
DisplayPort 1.3.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. So they have been doing this stuff for a while.
You can buy a musical instrument at
clearly
Monoprice.
They have a lot of experience buying things in China that they can get the best quality out of these factories and locations, and thus bringing them over here.
They had dual driver in-ear headphones that they're pitting up against the Shure's for $19.
What?
Yes. They're like, yo, yeah. So, do you go ahead and compare these against the $200 Shure's? Like, I wish I could right now. But they look
$19?
$19.99.
$19.99.
My God.
Dual driver.
What are these guys doing?
Everything.
Apparently what they do is they drive around China. They find everybody that makes all the stuff and says, we will give you less dollars to make those things for us.
Oh, my
less
goodness.
dollars, you say? How many do you need?
Less? Oh, okay.
Less is more.
I like
all.
this is the kind of stuff it's incredibly interesting to me.
Monoprice has become like a legit geek store. Like you could just go there and just buy geeky, interesting things.
We're gonna get a bunch
little robots and little kits and
we're gonna get a bunch of this stuff. I'm gonna send an email to Steve right now. Just send one.
Send him one of everything.
One of everything.
I should have taken video and just panned across the room, and that's all. We would like all of these.
It's like we're one of those.
All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Leanne Lee. Anything in particular stand out?
They had a yacht. PC
the yacht boat.
enclosure.
That's right. Yes, Josh, you'd like this. It's a boat shaped like it's a case shaped like a boat.
Shaped like a yacht. Unlike the boats that go under the water, which aren't really boats at all.
They're boats.
No, they're boats.
They're
and
boats.
this beautiful yacht featured
partially sinking.
What
boats.
trendy feature?
Sunroof.
Nope. Trendy in the computer industry in 2016.
Oh, RGB.
Yes.
Yes.
An RGB controller down where the cap, like the bridge.
I was going to say a lotion.
Now you're not operating
dispenser.
the wheel of this boat, but you can operate a miniature wheel that changes the color intensity. So
Are you serious?
I felt like I was really on the high seas as I twisted the blue knob. and then the green knob, and then the red knob. I made different color combinations.
That's nice. That's fantastic.
All right.
So it's a mini ITX enclosure inside of the cabin of a yacht.
The boat case.
But yeah, they do this kind of limited edition sort of fun thing
Sure.
every year, and they did a train before.
That's right. I remember seeing that.
Now this is cooler than the train.
Yeah.
It actually looks pretty cool.
They also had a table desk that was
That
height
was
adjustable,
cool.
the power adjustable
Yes.
height.
It looked exactly
table
like
desk?
a table desk.
Thank you.
It looked like a desk that you could also use as a table.
That's what he said.
I know.
Okay.
It's a
So-
Just making sure this is on him and
For
not
anybody who doesn't know, Leanne Lee makes frighteningly expensive desks that are tempered glass.
I hope they listen to this because they were supposed to send me one like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago.
Here's the
It's
thing.
probably still in the
They-
postal system.
Yeah,
I asked them for a review sample of this desk. It is a power up and down, height adjustable, standing or sitting desk. Anything in between. It had the same kind of presets that you have in like some cars where you can like choose your particular height and it's
Right.
preset
Yep.
1, 2, 3,
Wow.
4.
memory settings.
Yes,
essentially,
memory
yeah.
settings. And
It's a table desk.
Yep. And it looked really nice, very clean. Had that IKEA look to it. It looked just like the IKEA one, except it was.
See
thicker
why you're
and
attracted
had-
to
It was metal.
I was instantly.
Yeah.
Except it was metal. And
Did this one hold one PC or two PCs?
just one? I think. I know they had the dual PC one next to it.
Okay.
Okay.
But unlike the old ones where the entire drawer slid out and there were kind of concerns about it possibly tipping, and there's limitations on the amount of weight you could have in the drawer. Mm-hmm. This one, the entire top,
Just the
is
glass
just one big
comes
piece
up.
of glass. You just set it off to the side and it has like these soft mounts, and you set it back down on top.
Cool.
So that was really cool. He would not commit to a price. I'm not even going to speculate on a price. It's going to be a few $100s more because of the automatic lift.
Yep.
It holds about 60 pounds, I think, roughly. So even dual monitor setups and some
So
stuff
one
on it.
22-inch
down.
CRT.
Yes. Well, no. You
No,
think it's
those are
only
like
60 pounds?
75.
Oh, yeah, those are
75.
75 pounds. And then what else did they have? But I told him I wanted a review sample, by the way. He's like, well, only one for North America. I said, we can be that one.
No, because we
Let us be that
that's,
one.
That's how they. Yeah.
I said,
we'll deal with it.
Then I just want to let you know now. The PC Perspective wants one.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens.
All right.
And then they were showing some other things, just like color coordinating,
Sure.
Cases with matching keyboards.
Or
and
with
that sort of
RGB
thing.
lights.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. As I wrote on this list, Patriot. You wanted Patriot?
Hey, do you want to know the big thing from Patriot?
Yes.
U.2 SSD.
NVMe PCIe M.2
But what
SSD.
gen? What
RGB
gen
lights.
PCIe?
What do you think?
1.0.
Oh.
What's that, right?
PCI 1.0.
PCI 1.0, one lane.
PCI 33 megahertz.
25 megabytes
bus.
per second.
ISA
you guys
M.2
seen-
SSD.
ISA.
ISA is 16-bit
Yes.
interface. Excellent.
All right.
That's all you
So 490
video
gig
card.
is going to be the Patriot Hellfire.
Hellfire.
It's going to be a M.2 PCIe Gen 3x4.
Okay. The end? Who's controller?
Actually, I'm not sure on that one.
You failed.
You didn't.
Yeah.
You had one job.
No, so here's the thing. They didn't know offhand.
They didn't know
the
their own
person
controller?
that was there. The person is
Well,
not the
yeah.
designer of this SSD that was there, and they had a sticker.
I think
didn't
even
wanna-
if you're not the designer,
I didn't want to peel
you
their
should still
sticker.
know.
I didn't want to peel their stickers off
No,
of their,
that's fine. That's
their
fine.
things.
At the rated write speeds that they have for that one, what is the limitation there? It seems really low.
It's probably TLC.
Okay.
Did they have any SSDs that were 10 cents a gig?
No,
Moving on.
no, they did not. They did not.
Seriously, is that?
That was the big
Okay.
thing. Everything
Okay.
else was
That's
not that big.
We went to see Logitech. They gave us one of their G502
Spectrum, right?
Proteus Spectrum.
Proteus
And guess
Spectrum.
what the spectrum means.
RGB mother effer. So this is the same G502 that has existed before. They just added RGB lighting to it, controlled in their software, being able to be keyed with their headphones and keyboards and all that stuff. And it's. I actually am a huge fan of that mouse. The way it feels and moves, it's just the right weight for what I want to do, and all that is unchanged. They just added RGB lighting to it, which a lot of people like. And Logitech is really good software for controlling that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Way better than what we've seen from the competition like Corsair in terms of
just think
utilization.
of the glorious future where you have to have 10 applications installed on your computer to get all of the RGB LEDs to work.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I kind of asked them because 2 nights ago we talked about Corsair's keyboards, or it was last night, where Corsair's keyboards were going to have, an SDK to try to get game developers to program directly to their keyboard so you can adjust lights based on what's happening in the game. Logitech has been doing that for a while as well, and I asked both these companies, like, any chance if you guys,
get
this together and making like one kind of open SDK? And he's like, probably not. It's like, okay.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. We just need a DirectX variant for direct keyboard control for RGB lighting, and mouse and headphones, and cases and motherboards.
And SSDs and RAM.
And RAM, and power supplies with LEDs. And then just LEDs that you add yourself. Yeah, we just need...
Thermaltake had power supplies with RGB
fans.
LEDs.
Did they really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my work here is
Someone's making a lot of money off RGB LEDs this year.
China.
And it ain't us.
It's China. So that was Logitech, who sponsored us out here for CES. So in case you ever wonder that we're like biased and all we do is pimp their stuff, we literally talked about Logitech for about 60 seconds.
You did speak positively about it.
I did.
Pure bias.
Love that mouse.
Hate the people.
And I'm not talking about Mickey. I'm talking about G502.
CMC takedown.
Alan, what else did you see? Micron, Crucial, Samsung.
They didn't have a lot to announce right then, and that was the last one. Actually, it's not on the schedule, but I went to Kingston.
Oh, right.
They were showing that 7 Gamers 1 PC.
That the Linus group did.
Is that who put that together? They said they couldn't get it to work, but it was there and it looked cool.
They couldn't get it to work,
You
but
mean
it was
the
there.
Guys couldn't get it
PC
to
that he put together didn't work properly?
I know.
Well, you take a computer that has like a custom-made water block
And ship
and
it.
ship it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it was
wouldn't wanna
in
do
this
that.
case 7 nano water blocks all in a row. Like
7 water blocks and then like a custom.
It looked pretty cool.
thing. Yeah, it's a neat looking
It's
system.
definitely awesome to look at, but they said they couldn't get it working.
First day of the show.
Yeah, that's true. So that was there. That was cool to see. I'll probably include that picture of that when I write up the Kingston stuff. They are showing what's going to be a half-height, half-length PCIe 3.0 by 8 SSD.
Okay.
It's gonna be enterprise, but it's gonna be from
Finally.
Kingston. And it's going to do 6 gigabytes per second and 1.25 million
You know what?
IOPS.
I don't need RAID anymore.
What controller is that?
It is through a company called Liquid, and I'm not sure what they're actually using. That might be.
Is
the
that
company
LIQID?
LIQID.
It's from a company
can't
called
spell.
Lucid.
Nope.
And it's 10
This is not a
terabytes per
phabless
second.
semiconductor. Ooh, that could be a phabless.
And then they showed, and then they also showed a 1U rack mount system with, I think it was 6 of those installed in it. So it was like 48 terabytes of.
See, now I need RAID again.
That's actually, yeah. Kind of have to do like software RAID or something.
So, did they have any benchmarks running on it? Did they?
Yeah, they were showing it running over a million IOPS.
On the 6 combined.
Oh, on the
system.
6? No, they didn't have that. It was running, but I don't know if they.
So, is this going to be anywhere close to consumer pricing?
I don't think so. They didn't have pricing then because it's not an official thing yet.
Then what else do they got?
And they're doing their typical Kingston stuff. They got like gaming headsets and updates and Xbox hard drives.
Did they have a PCI Express NVMe M.2 SSD?
Oh, gee. Yeah, they did. And what is something?
Whose controller? And is it 10 cents per gig?
Actually, I don't think they've settled on the controller yet for that.
So on sale next week.
Shouldn't that be like the first thing you decide?
No, first you decide to do.
Well, they did have a demo unit showing like I think it was Phison driving TLC Flash, and the idea was it was sitting in a NUC, so they're trying to show hey look we can make a NUC M.2 SSD as well.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
And then they're going to update the HyperX Predator. That's the one that they did not settle yet on.
Oh, okay.
On the controller. And I think they're trying to shoot for 1 terabyte. And they showed me like a 960 gig, so 1 terabyte class.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I think is going to be a problem is that it looks like they're only going to make it in an M.2 22.110.
Is that the really long one?
That's the longer one, which means it's not going to fit on pretty much any motherboards other than very, very few of them. Because a lot of motherboards limit the last little screw post is 2280.
That stands for 80 millimeters, right?
Yeah, 80 millimeters
22 form factor, 80 millimeter. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it'll be fine for their PCI Express add-on card.
Sure. Yeah.
But if they're also going to try to market it just as a standalone, like that's kind of going to, shoot them in the foot a little bit because people won't be able to plug it into anything, or at least fit it into any motherboards or that sort of thing. But
okay.
And that was it for them.
All right, just a couple more minis here. Seasonic, we went. They're going to release a new series of power supplies in
April.
Yeah, April. We'll talk more about them when we get closer to it. But they were very upfront about, hey, we fell behind in these areas. We're fixing it in these areas, and we're going to have the best power supplies. I like kind of the new design for them. Very understated. No RGB lighting, though, Sebastian. I apologize.
I hate RGB lighting.
See, that's a selling point now. We don't do RGB.
Yeah,
it's played out. I mean, everywhere I go, it's RGB. RGB.
It's 6 days. It's 6 days into 2016, and we don't like it.
You know what? I love it again.
What do you want?
We'll
you
talk.
Want cyan, magenta?
Lee will have a review.
Overwhelmed by choice.
Okay. Lee will have a review of those power supplies relatively soon, and it'll be before their release. Finally, we'll talk about EVGA. We stopped by there. They had a couple of interesting things. They're working on a sound card and external sound card.
From EVGA?
What would you call it?
DAC.
It's not a DAC. It's just like an...
It'll do audio. I mean, it's USB, connected USB, and it pumps audio.
Well, yeah, so...
If it's connected via USB, it has to have a DAC in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the name of the company that was doing the design with them?
AN?
Audio
Nolo
Melvin
or
Tano?
something like that.
All right.
Yeah, I got the business card over at the other table.
Audio Nile, I think.
Audio Nile.
Okay.
Yeah, we can Google that and see if that's
that product I understand from EVGA.
Yes,
because they make motherboards.
Yeah.
So
they
why
don't
not have an external?
They make video cards. Well, they do make motherboards.
I own an EVGA motherboard.
Not the right one. Not coming up.
Nope.
We'll find it out. There's a story on PCPro.com about it now, about some of the stuff that they announced. It sounded good. Can you listen to it? I don't know if Josh, you actually didn't listen to it, did you?
I didn't.
And they were basically comparing, here it is playing through that player, here it is playing
After
through like
Pioneer,
a MacBook.
Josh refuses to listen to any headphone that doesn't cost at least $24.99.
Exactly.
It's like, get that away from me. It's trash.
But there's $19 earbuds from Honor Price.
That's pretty amazing, yeah.
I have yet to hear them, but yes, I endorse them.
They're making a gaming notebook, completely in-house designed, not ODM'd at all.
It's a unibody construction.
Yep. It looks really nice. It's kind of got like a metallic black
Does it have
finish.
any chamfered edges?
No.
No? Did it?
No diamond cut chamfered edges.
It had stereo speakers up top, subwoofer on bottom. It had, I didn't actually type on the keyboard very much. Core i7 6820K, unlocked processor.
What version of Synaptics touchpad was it using?
1.5.
Yeah.
It had a GeForce GTX 980M graphics in it, as you would expect.
Overclocked.
17-inch screen, available both two models, 4K and 4K with G-Sync. And that's the first time I've seen a 4K G-Sync laptop screen.
Did they say what type of panel it is?
It's going to be IPS.
Oh, it's going to be IPS?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Wow. This is kind of like a really, really high-end laptop.
It is. It's like $2,600 is what we're pricing out at. And one of the things that was cool is
I'll have to add that to the
like
post.
it had like a BIOS that you would find in an EVGA motherboard. Like you could go through it, you could do overclocking, it was really cool. So they got fan control, you could do overclocking, multiplier overclocking because it's an unlocked CPU, and you actually could do GPU offset and memory offset in the BIOS.
It was so weird to see.
Yeah,
It really, but
it was
really,
really
if you
cool.
think about it, laptop is just a computer with a screen that you can fold. It runs off of a battery. Laptop's 101 here.
It's a screen. Wait, how do you fold it?
Hinge.
And
Uses
have
a
it.
hinge.
Oh, okay.
It's like a computer in a book. I'll call it computer book.
It's close.
Yeah.
So that was actually
It's
neat.
about time is what I'm saying. It's about effing time.
The SG-17, I think is what its name is. That's actually
SC-17.
SC-17, I'm sorry. I think it'll be out next month. The version
SC stands for
without the G-Sync monitor will be out next month.
Supercomputer. And they have a really fast one called SSC.
Release.
I don't think so.
Their press release said
What'd they say about availability?
in 2016.
About the laptop. I thought that was like next month.
Yeah.
I think it's next month.
Not the G-Sync one.
Not the G-Sync one.
okay.
The G-Sync one will be later. They're just
The post will
panel
continue to
availability.
evolve as I correct things.
And then finally, they had the EVGA gaming case, an unnamed product. It is a case. It's an enormous chassis, like
How big
900D.
was it?
900D
I think it might be
size.
more square foot than your house.
That's not hard.
It was big. It had some interesting designs. Like, so the case is designed
How big was it?
to be rotated 90 degrees. So like, imagine a case like a normal case with like a side panel window. It was designed to be rotated 90 degrees so that the window is always facing out. Sorry, so that the window is always facing out, like to you. Like
It's like you have your monitor over here, and then the case is sitting to the left of it, rotating 90 degrees.
yeah.
So you can see all the
So like
cool
the
stuff.
window is facing you. It's like look, if you're going to spend all this money investing on stuff inside your computer, you're going to want to see it. And if we have all these lights in here and this other stuff, you're going to
How
want to
does
see
it rotate
that.
again?
It doesn't rotate.
It doesn't rotate. It's just meant to be rotated when it's
The power
sitting.
button is on the side with the side panel.
So I don't. If this is normally your case, and this is the front panel here, where like your optical drives would be, and your power button would be right there, they think you should have the case like that, and the power button is in the lower right hand corner. That way, it'll make more sense when you guys see the video.
So you'd put it up against like the wall or
Yes.
something
Yeah.
to your desk. Okay.
Yeah, you can put it up against the wall, or you can just rotate it and have it there looking at you. And it does some interesting things. It's like I
Houses
said,
your components.
it's huge, right? It's still a standard form factor, like internally, like nothing's rotated 90 degrees or anything that way. It has front panel comes off as three 140s in the front. You've got three 140s exhaust on the top, two 140s on the bottom, intake, two 140s in the back. Wait. Intake on the bottom, intake in the front, exhaust on the top, exhaust in the back. Right, and then, like there's a door that opens up on the back. So normally where the motherboard ends, towards the back of the case, like that's where the case ends. This case extends like 6 more inches past, and it's got a door that kind of opens up that compartment. So all of your DisplayPort cables, your HDMI, your USB cables, all come out of that, and they're kind of hidden
I
behind
can
that
see that
section.
because that's a very sharp looking case.
Because when you turn it, you don't want to see a bunch of cables there, right? So it's very neat and clean. All that stuff kind of fades away.
In a similar manner to how enclosures like the Raven and the Fortress,
Yes, they
have
close
that-
the top.
You close the top down,
Very
hides all
similar
those
to that.
connections, and it rots out the back.
And then, interestingly, just as kind of a side effect, the power supply mounts underneath the motherboard in its own kind of compartment, but it's actually offset a little bit. Like the power supply is right at the edge of the case, right at the back of it. And as a result, the cables that come out of the back of it are shifted a little bit to the left if you're like looking at the motherboard, making
So like the 8-pin went directly up the case.
right.
Instead of having to go over and
Like usually when you have an 8-pin connector where the 8-pin connector is like in the top left of a motherboard, you kind of have to like go to the back and then kind of back up at an angle to the board to plug it in. It's hard to describe what we're saying. But it was the cable routing for power supplies in the back of the case was actually just cleaner. And lots of room on the back side of the case. 8 hard drives, 6 2.5-inch drives supported. It had on the bottom where the power supply is mounted towards the front, there's like a fan controller with a big LED that showed what percentage fans you could adjust, intake fans and exhaust fans. They're going to have it available. This is what they claim. This is what the CEO of EVGA told us. Is they're going to have prices. It's going to be priced from $79 to $299 with different options that you want. Like, so one of the options is the fan controller that they had there with like simple buttons, like 4 physical buttons to push. That will be on the $79 variant. The $299 variant will have a touchscreen there that you'll also be able to access the EVGA Precision, like all the controls, fan controls, overclocking and stuff all through there. The model we saw was kind of made out of plastic. They said it would all be metal by the time it's going to be released. I think he said March or May.
I don't remember.
I think he said March. I want to say March, but maybe it was May. I'm a little forgetful on that. But I think he said Q2. So we'll go with May. It was enormous, right? You have to have a very specific space to use a case like this. But I respect like the vision that they have with it. It's pretty neat. You can go check the video out. It'll be on PCPer.com here in a little bit tonight, probably, where we kind of do a walkthrough with it. And then also inside the case, you'll see that they're releasing a new Hydro version of their graphics cards. And did they have a CPU cooler before today, or is that brand new?
Currently, their only Hydro is the 980 Ti, right?
Right.
So they're expanding that lineup?
So they have...
Not quite.
They're going to have a 970 version that's new, but they're going to have like a CPU water block with like its self-contained pump in it. And the new version of the Hydro liquid cooler for the GPUs has like quick disconnects so that you can expand the system. So you can buy just the card with a radiator, right? And the pumps are card and everything, so you've got that all there. Or what they had in the demo system with their case was 4 980 Ti's, so you had quick disconnect going into one, like pass through all the way. The CPU had one of those on there as well. So they were running 5 pumps all at the same time through the system through 360 rad.
Yeah.
I guess. He said, it would be really easy for us to add another rad at the front.
I was going to say 5 pumps and 1 rad.
Yeah, well, it's probably overkill.
Yeah.
But you could add one to the front, and all it takes is you don't have to like disassemble your system because it's all quick connects coming.
And as the demo
door.
was running, like Mark, he disconnected one of the quick connects.
Yeah.
Fine.
Wait, so as you disconnect it, something internally shuts it off?
Well, it's a quick connect,
valve
right? So it's like a
system in
valve.
there.
So when you disconnect it,
It's a
like
one-way
no
valve.
fluid. But like, so
So
the
it
system
uses
was still.
steam.
No, the system was still trying to run. It just
Valve.
it was not functioning as cooling. No, I get it.
We're moving on.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
But it was neat. It was cool stuff. And then we stole some red vines and we left.
They had red vines?
Yeah,
And I was
Really
sitting
fresh
here.
red
yeah,
vines.
they were really good red vines. And that's like it's like a staple for the EVGA booth at
Yeah.
CES. Every year they buy big
Thanks
containers of red
for the
vines.
invite. I like EVGA.
I like red vines. Those two powers combined, nothing. I guess that's it. That's it. And I had French toast tonight,
I had a Newcastle ale and eggs Benedict.
which is like sounds the
dinner.
most
English AF.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, speaking of English, fish and chips.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had fried chicken. It was delicious.
That's American.
Yeah.
That's
We were
Southern
in a
American.
Southern-inspired restaurant.
It was the
It
pantry.
is. We are in the South.
All right, guys. So I think
Wes.
that is all of CES for us.
That's it.
We all leave tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm leaving tomorrow, regardless of if the plane is going or not. I'll drive my ass home. So that's it. Any kind of like summary thoughts, Alan? I know your summary thought is M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD.
That and a lot of the devices that I saw that had like external hard drives kind of stuff, like external things that would have a power connector separate to them, like power supplied separate to them, also tending to be USB Type-C now and can charge MacBooks backwards.
Well, they're charging MacBooks. You're talking
Yeah.
about feeding power back. the other
Feeding
way.
power back.
Yeah.
Drawing power from the
that,
MacBook.
So that you don't need
No.
so that you
Giving
don't
pow-
need the extra hub.
Draining the MacBook.
No.
It's storing the energy.
So the idea is that you don't need the extra hub if you wanted to use it. Yes, they just
You can
they just-
finally use that MacBook for something useful, like
Yes, yes.
charging your phone.
they just
Charging
they
your
just
storage
drain.
hard drive SSD.
Yes. No, but like, I think it was I think Seagate had like or List C, like the List C external drives.
Yeah, they're
Like
frequent Mac
their
accessory.
new models will all like if they're the kind that has power that plugs in like a little power brick, they kind of like over engineered the power brick a little bit and gave it enough juice to also
Right. Yeah, and that's what that ASUS external graphics thing was doing as well. That seems to be a trend. Josh, what was your takeaway from CES 2016?
It was a lot more relaxed this year. It's probably because of our scheduling.
Yeah.
We did not do so good. Well, you didn't.
Well,
I was just along for the ride, but it was a nice ride, and I appreciate it.
guess who's not
greatly.
coming back next year?
Yeah.
You effed up. And
No, I mean, we didn't see any huge, big announcements. Nothing really shattering, but there's a lot of nice trends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oculus. I got to try Oculus for the first time today.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
That
You tried
rocked.
Eve Valkyrie, right?
Yeah.
I have yet to play that.
Yeah, it's just
Damn
you're
it, I
looking
should've
around
done
your
that.
cockpit and everything. There was like no lag. I wasn't even paying attention to. I mean, it was just so smooth. Go out there, blow stuff up.
It was fun too. Like, would it be fun as a game?
Yes.
What you played?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed space shooters like free space, Descent, Free Space.
No nausea, no vertigo.
If I'd have kept going at it, it's the first time I've done it. I would have, but it was like about 7 minutes.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I wasn't feeling uncomfortable at
7
the end.
minutes is a reasonably long time to be doing VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a video game.
I know,
Like,
I
yeah,
understand.
so you have to
Video
assume
game.
people are going to do longer than that. It was interesting for me when I did the demos the first day or whatever. I didn't have any nausea or anything until I played that one where I used the joystick. The joystick moved the vision, and my head moved the vision, and I was like, nope, I'm done. So as long as they
the
can
one
figure out a
thing
way
that
to
was
avoid
kind of funny in the landing spot that they had, there were 7 things you could do in a room, and I was looking around, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to have a seat," and I looked down, and there was a seat, and then I put my hand down, and of course, it's so odd because you see the seat there, but you don't see a hand, but you feel the seat.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, this is kind of funky.
See, but when you have the Oculus Touch controllers, you see
You'll
your
see
hand
your
there,
hands,
and
yeah.
it manipulates in the right way. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so the startup sequence for Eve Valkyrie is awesome.
Yes, it is.
When you're in the launch tunnel, it's totally Battlestar Galactica, the remake. You're
I
sitting in the launch
saw
tunnel,
it. Yeah.
and it just shoots you forward, and you go off. It's great.
It's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. They did announce the pricing on that $599. I don't know if anybody has any particular feedback on that price.
Early
gonna be buying
adopters,
one.
you got to expect it.
Yeah.
That's just the thing that goes on your head?
No.
It's so you get an Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller, you get the thing on your head that has integrated headphones, you get a camera that has to be mounted to see the front
Oh,
of
okay.
it, and
a powerful
You get
gaming
Eve
PC.
Valkyrie.
Eve Valkyrie
And
and
another
some
game.
kind of more cartoony kids game. I don't know if I don't want to discount it by saying it's kid games, but
Right.
some other game that I didn't recognize yet.
Okay.
It's $599. Interestingly, this does affect me. The people who did the original Kickstarter
Yeah.
you paid $300 to get a DK1,
Yep.
the development. They're giving all 6,955 of those people a free Rift.
So you're getting a Rift,
Yeah.
right?
So the $600 thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a tremendous goodwill offering to the people who raise all that money for them on the Kickstarter.
Wow.
So if you got one of those, you get a Rift. Because it was funny because before I read the announcement about that being the thing, I got an email from Kickstarter saying, "Hey, we need your address for this reward or this whatever,
Extra, whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I went there, and the thing it didn't list what the new item was.
Yeah.
It just asked for updated information, and it said estimated delivery date I don't know, let's October 2012
Yeah.
or something like that. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this system glitched out like this. It's totally screwing up and sending out old emails to people or something like that. And 3 emails down, it was like, hey, we're going to give everybody one of these things. Make sure your address is up to date. That type of stuff.
Cool.
So that's a neat thing for them. But obviously they're hoping to sell more than 7,000 of these.
So a few more.
I think they
Yeah.
said the initial ship date is March 28th. And I know Scott Wasson of AMD ordered one today at lunchtime.
Yeah,
And he posted
only a couple hours
posted a
after the
screenshot
open.
on Twitter, and it said his expected ship date was May.
Okay.
Of
So
this.
they've sold a
So
few.
they've been selling through. So good for them.
This is the first time there's been any kind of mainstream availability for Oculus at all.
It's the first time there's been a retail VR headset that's not like a smartphone.
Well, and it's not labeled as a development kit because you could just buy
Yes.
DK1 and DK2.
Okay.
Could you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. This is the first retail consumer version of Oculus.
Valkyrie is the launch game
It is the pack-in.
for
It is the Super Mario world of
Okay.
Oculus
Do you
Rift.
anticipate other companies jumping on this now that there's one in the market?
Well, we've already got HTC Vive, right? They'll be out sometime later this year.
Like all the gaming peripheral makers will probably be OEMing it from somewhere.
not, to be honest with you. I know there are other people that have aspirations to do so.
The only way it's ever going to take off is if there's easy, inexpensive mainstream availability.
But if you make crappy ones,
it works well.
If you make crappy ones that ruin the experience for people, then it will never take off, right? And if somebody comes out with $109, $299 variant and it's bad, it's stuttery, it's jittery, it causes more nausea, it's got the screen door effect on the screen, it's not high resolution, it doesn't take advantage of the software SDKs from NVIDIA and AMD, then it ruins the potential for VR to even become a big thing, right? I believe at least that that's the case. So, I only want people that are in it to win it. I only want people that are in it that
To do well.
To put the time and effort to research it and develop it well. I don't want Chinese knockoffs of VR headsets coming out connected to your
xenophobic
PC.
Stance, but okay. It's kind of a xenophobic stance. But
I don't want the $200. I don't want the $69 Android tablet at Kmart to come out and ruin everything but iPads.
But I love the lack of screen response and the
high glare
ratio.
Yeah, yes.
The fact that it's plastic and not glass.
It's a resistive touch
every time I touch anything.
Yeah. That's what I would like to prevent is, and I know it sucks because people want low cost stuff now, but I would like to make sure that
they want high quality
works.
merchandise at low
I'd like
prices.
to not puke.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. So what's your takeaway from CES, Sebastian?
It was my first CES.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's true.
So my takeaway from it is basically that I now know what the experience is like, but there was, in our industry, a few trends obviously continuing. Alan's trend. It seems like everything, now that NVMe is mainstream, that's not really so much a trend anymore.
It's just here.
It's just here.
Yeah.
Next year, this 2016 will be that for sure.
RGB everything though.
That's true.
Literally
That's a good
everything I
trend.
looked at. And RGB. Okay. And here's the RGB controller. And it's cool, but
Yeah.
I think it'll end up getting kind of tired, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
It's nice to have the option, but yeah.
What about you?
The Internet of Things is here.
It was here last year though, wasn't it?
No,
Not like this?
nearly like this.
Yeah,
I guess I was just expecting
there's
it.
a lot of it.
Everyone has internet connected things that they're showing.
Drones were a big thing.
Short. There were
ASUS
smart shorts.
had like a Samsung Smart
There
Things
were.
competitor
Josh needs smart underwear.
today.
Yes.
What was?
Smart ceiling fan.
Yeah, saw that. For me, I agree with Josh in that nothing really stood out to me as super exciting. The PC space is still very active. It's just it's not timed well.
No,
for
there's no
platform or
sub
GPU
28
or
nanometer GPUs.
it's not even for me. Even no, there weren't a whole lot of exciting notebooks, right? Because Skylake had come out. We've already had Skylake notebooks for a couple of months at the office, right? So the OLED from Lenovo was exciting, but
Yeah.
it was rare to see that. Whereas I think last year with Broadwell, I remember we went to Digital Experience last year, and it was like, holy shit, look at that Dell XPS 13. We hadn't seen it before, right? And
Yeah,
now it's
but-
like, oh look, the new XPS 13.
Yeah, but we saw a laptop with an OLED display that we did the same thing to this
that's
year.
true.
Shit.
That gets to the PC Perspective
Yeah.
Best of Show Award finalist award.
Runner up.
Yeah, just kind of like the year before. It's like, holy crap, look at that 4K monitor that is
True.
not terribly expensive, like Lenovo's TN base.
Yeah.
That we're like, wow, that looks pretty decent for.
I would there's no ASUS press conference this year, and that's disappointing.
Because that is an
There's-
endless supply of.
It was good jokes
Of
for
jokes,
us,
yeah.
right?
I mean, look at the ASUS press conference for the past 2 years. I haven't
They've
talked.
done phones.
Yeah, I mean, it's phones
Yeah.
and tablets and
Notebooks.
laptops.
Phones is kind of a big deal, though. There was less mobile than I thought. That's one takeaway.
Everybody kind of now saves that for Mobile World Congress in February.
Yeah. So it's kind of the evolution of the show.
True.
Certain companies didn't present. Other companies
I just
are
hope next
waiting.
year we have more LED RGB sunglasses.
But as
nice.
as CES becomes more of that and less our industry, maybe CES becomes less relevant.
It has been doing that for many, many years, but it's still relevant enough. It's still interesting enough. So,
I agree.
That's going to do it for us this year, guys.
Last podcast of 2016. been fun.
Next week is CES.
We're gonna work on the best show notes ever for January 2017.
Yeah, they're going to be good when we do the
We're gonna
best
be,
of
like,
2016
tight.
ones.
There will be a lot of ad breaks, but
Yeah.
Ryan's going to seamlessly handle
12
them.
per. That was what this whole CS was for. We're selling the podcast.
Yeah.
So we're up to 12 per episode.
I'm not proud of some of the things I've said and possibly done, but we
Maybe.
did okay.
Also, for people who are watching
was
this,
free.
we've got a few hundred people watching late night. It's 5 people sit around on a couch. I guess Alan has slowly sunken into his spot.
I'm getting lower.
It's been a little.
3 of them wearing blue
odd
jeans,
to
2
wear.
of them wearing some sort of gray slack.
It's been a long.
According to the commenters yesterday, 3 of us wearing skinny jeans and Josh wearing normal person jeans.
Yeah.
What?
These are just not skinny.
Ryan does
didn't-
not own skinny jeans.
I don't
I
definitely
didn't even
don't
bring
know.
jeans.
You weren't here yesterday.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I said yesterday. But stay tuned. We're gonna do some stuff.
What?
But he was wearing pants yesterday, so that
I
counts.
can't verify.
That's a move up.
That's true. I
We're
wasn't
going to have,
wasn't
Hewlett
observing
coming
him
in
very
a couple of
closely.
weeks. We're going to have a Q&A with, I'm talking about.
What's that?
We're going to have Hewlett come back in with the
Oh yeah.
Q&A,
David Hewlett's gonna come back in
have
and he'll
a
be on the
racing-
podcast and we'll talk about some other cool stuff.
racing thing. We'll give away a wheel.
Oh yeah. That's right.
When is this racing event going to happen?
We'll
It's
find out.
tonight.
Yeah.
Not.
Who gets to the bathroom first?
I'm just gonna pee
To
out the
race.
window.
Okay.
Yeah.
Windows don't
There's a
open in
sink
Vegas.
over there.
Stay tuned, guys. We're going to be talking directly to you guys soon about
Into the
some
camera.
interesting stuff here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, at least, is my minimum. Is
Yeah.
my goal on that. So stay tuned. I guess. Thanks for
Okay.
watching. I guess. See ya.
I'm
Heartfelt.
Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malaventano.
I'm Morley Safer.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.